What's up, Geeks and Gamers? Mike and I are back with another movie review. This time, unfortunately, reviewing Indiana Jones and the Dead on Delivery. Dial of Destiny. Archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history.
Races against time.
Wow, it's
How
so
clever.
Let's twirl my mustache, shall
Oh
we?
my God.
Uh, all right. So, Indiana Jones.
Uh-huh.
Can we just pretend that this movie doesn't exist? And
I already pretend that the last one doesn't exist, so
yeah. Well, now you can add another one to the list of Indiana Jones movies that don't exist. Oh man. I just have to ask this right off the bat, Mike. Is this one worse than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Yes.
Yes.
You know,
not even close.
there's worse in a way where you're like, oh, they just went really over the top, or they like try too hard. The thing that hurts the most is this movie is so soulless. It just feels like a paint by numbers. They just put together an idea and just said, that seems like a cool idea for Indiana Jones. Let's just do it. And it's so pathetically sad. It's like a half deflated balloon. Indiana Jones, the character looks like he's not having a good time. Harrison Ford looks like he's having an even worse time, and nobody in this film feels like they wants to be there, like except Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She looks like she's having the time of her life. She looks like she's having a great time in this film, but nobody else feels like they're having a good time. Everybody feels like they're just ready to be done. That's what the movie feels like constantly, is that it's just ready to be done. Yeah, man, this probably feels like the most AI generated generic idea of a script that I've seen, and the fact that it's gone through like what 4 rewrites and like 2 major reshoots, and this is the best they could come up with. It's pathetic, bro.
Dude, sad. It's I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's laughable at this point. Just how bad all of these different films are that Disney continues to put out. I felt the same way about Ant-Man 3 as well. It felt very AI generated in a lot of ways. It had no soul. There was nothing that kept me engaged with the characters and the story in that film. I feel the exact same way about this film. It feels like they're just taking all these films and they don't give a crap about it anymore. They're just continuing to just use the same model time and time again for all these different films without any sort of care to actually tell stories of depth or to have characters that have any sort of life or interest to them or anything. It's just, dude, I fell asleep a couple times while watching this film in the theater. And when I woke up both of those times, I felt like I wasn't missing anything. I was just like, all right, well, here's Phoebe Waller-Bridge still, chewing out Indiana Jones and stuff. And here's, Mads Mikkelsen looking like he's having a miserable time, even though he's probably one of the best parts about the film, weirdly enough. It's just like, wow, I can't get over how terrible this movie is. And there's a lot of people that were praising the opening sequence of this film, which was like supposed to be like younger Indiana Jones, fighting Nazis, doing all of that type of stuff, doing his thing. And dude, they like de-aged Harrison Ford, but it was weird because at the same time it still sounded like old Indiana or like old Harrison Ford. And it just didn't work, man. It just completely drew me out of the movie, and it almost made it like, and it's obviously that's no fault to Harrison Ford, but couldn't they have done something to at least try to make it better than what it was? I mean, that whole opening sequence just felt so fake. I know a lot of people have been like saying, oh, it's like the best part of the movie. And I mean, it probably is the best part of the movie, but that's not saying much because the entire movie is terrible.
Yeah, it's not saying much. That opening sequence, I get what people were saying. But, even with that, there's still uncanny valley. There's moments where, like, they do like a close-up of Indiana Jones's face, and his face is just like, like he's not responding to anything. He's not saying anything. I'm like, what? And then, there's like a moment. There's a moment. It's in the trailer, so it's not even a spoiler. He gets shot in the arm. By a bullet, just shot right in the arm, and his face doesn't even move. He goes, ah.
Yeah.
He doesn't, and then he just like looks at his arm, and then he's just like, "Not me," and you're like, "What?" Like, I don't know, man.
Dude, and
it's
that's
ridiculous.
it's crazy because I've seen movies that have way smaller budgets than this film, and they were able to do de-aging stuff really well.
Yeah.
And they've been able to de-age, faces and voices and all of that type of stuff, and it works, and it actually looks like, hey, this is younger Robert De Niro, and he looks great, But here, this is Disney. They have unlimited resources, they have unlimited money, and yet they can't even get that right.
Nope. And also, I will say this, like, for people that watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and they're like, hey, that refrigerator nuke scene was ridiculous and over the top and absolutely nuts. There's a scene in this movie that is even worse than that because you know what? No, I don't even care. You know what? It is
fuck it.
Indiana Jones is hanging by his neck from a noose in a house captured by the Nazis, and a bomb falls into the building, crashes through all the floors of the building, hits the basement, and blows up. Everyone in the house dies. Every single person, except for Indiana Jones, who literally they show swinging around the room by his neck, like just dangling around like a rag doll, and he has no injuries whatsoever to speak of. He just has to escape from the house afterwards. But he takes a direct explosion from this bomb. Like, you watch the people standing next to him get vaporized and die, and he's like, whoa! And I'm like, what is it a magical rope? Like, what happened? Did you swallow a miracle pill that made you invincible? Like, I don't understand it, and it doesn't make any sense. There's another scene where another character, which I won't spoil this part of it, literally gets his face smashed by like a piece of hanging piece of wood on the top of a fast moving train,
and he goes careening. He goes
careening, disappears, comes back later in the movie. Absolutely no injuries whatsoever. He's fine. Like, even Indiana Jones in the movie, he looks at him and he goes, oh, like, he's confused. Like, you should have been dead. And he's like, I don't remember who you are. And I'm like, whoa, apparently not, because you probably have severe brain trauma. This movie is awful in every shape and form. It never really redeems itself, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is as bad as everybody thought she was going to be.
Gosh.
She spends the entire movie berating and belittling Indiana Jones. There is actually a sequence here where her version of Short Round sits down, and Indiana Jones is working on a deal to get them to where they need to go for the next part of the plot to happen. And straight up, the character looks over Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She goes, "Why are we waiting on him? Are we even in control anymore? Are you even in charge anymore? Like, we're just going to let this guy dictate what we do now?" And she looks at him and she goes, I'm in charge. I'm definitely still in charge. They have this conversation. Somebody wrote this dialogue in. And then later in the movie, because we gotta literally check every single trope we can about strong whammon characters, Indiana Jones is talking to her, and she asks him a question about like the supernatural, and he goes, listen, I don't believe in magic, but I have seen some things that are unexplainable to me. I have seen things that make no sense and can only be explained one way. And I don't know, that's all I got for you. And she looks at him and she goes, well, I've seen some things too, Indy. And the one thing I know is nothing speaks louder than cash. And then he walks away. He just walks away from her because he's like, oh my God, like, you're out of control. Yeah.
And then, like, towards the end of this film, Indiana Jones takes an entire bomb, like,
right,
he's fine, he's great.
Yep.
Nothing happened. But later on in the film, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, with one punch, managed to knock him clean out.
He also that's not the only thing too. Listen, this is how bad this review is, because I keep remembering the stupid stuff in the movie. He gets shot in the chest. He falls back. It shows it right there in his chest, and he's bleeding out. And they're just like, bring him with. And he just keeps doing things, and they keep throwing him off of stuff. He survives a plane crash, all this stuff, getting shot directly in the chest. And then later in the movie, they just go, how's your shoulder? I'm like, no. You shot him in the chest.
Yeah.
And then ignored it the rest of the film. he never responds to it. He doesn't like, oh, I'm injured or anything. They're just like, we gotta,
Mhm.
I don't know, do something about that wound. And then later at the end of the movie, he's like all better, and they're like, how's your shoulder? I'm like, no, you don't get to change that on us. We saw what you did.
Yeah,
This movie is terrible.
it is
It's worse than I
horrendous.
can describe it, because if I told you the plot, you'd be like, wow, that's really bad. And it's worse than that because the execution is so poorly done. It's terribly paced. It is not worth going to see. It's
No.
not even so bad it's funny. It's so bad it's pathetic, and it makes me sad.
Mhm.
And I would rather go watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull 9 times than to go watch this movie once again. Like, it's
Yeah.
so bad that,
Mike-
that at least there was a cohesive plot to it. So
I'm not gonna even recommend people watch it. This movie goes in the bin. This movie just goes straight in the bin.
garbage.
Don't even bother. It's not worth your time.
Throw it on top
Whatever.
of Batwoman. We're not. Nope. Don't even go watch it. It's worth.
Yeah,
It's not.
just-
It's a waste of time.
You
Yep.
just go back and watch the original movies again, and you'll have
Yes.
a 100 times better time than you ever will watching this film.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. It's terrible. Wow.
holy crap.
This is the saddest review we've ever done.
Yeah.
I don't have anything good to say about the movie.
No, nothing.
No. Nope.
And this is how Harrison Ford's legacy is. Indiana Jones is going out under Disney's watch once again, and it's just like it's there's no excuse, there's no forgiveness for what they did with this character at all. So yeah, so there you go, guys. There's our review for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So if you
dysentery, yeah.
if you unfortunately had to go see this film already, please let us know in the comments below what you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know. Hope you guys enjoyed this review, and we'll catch you in another review very soon. Have a good day. Bye.
Peace.